Welcome to the Eternal City, where we are into the final countdown for the second edition of the Wizz Air Rome Half Marathon. Morning to you, wherever you're tuning in. This is Jeff Whiteman with coverage from Rome, where the big news is that we have 22,000 entrants and very unusual stats in that 75%, 3 out of every 4 runners are from outside Italy. And we also have a somewhat changed demographic in that half the field are under the age of 34. So things are changing in the world of road running, but this is a hugely popular event. We've got the largest international contingents are from France, Spain, the UK and Germany, but there are competitors from as far afield as the USA, Brazil and Mexico. And it is a spectacular course. They'll finish in front of the Colosseum. Circus Maximus is the start zone area. Weather conditions close to perfect, quite a high humidity reading. The leaders who we'll be concentrating on will be hopefully taking less than an hour to complete the course. Some of the others that we're seeing here may be closer to the 2-hour point. Welcome along, this is Jeff Whiteman on the stream for this second edition of a bold new event in a spectacular city, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Most of the famous sites will be absorbed within the route, and if there is a better finish line than the Colosseum, well, I've yet to see it. This is the route that they'll be taking as they approach the 7th kilometre. Beyond this point at the Basilica, it's the main climb of the course. Just beyond the pyramid, there's a rise between kilometres 7 and 8. You can see there's turns on the course. It's an out and back loop, but it hugs the Tiber on that return run, so pancake flat along that section. Now into the second half of the race. The wind speed is around 10 kilometers per hour, so nothing that will impede the athletes. And here we are into the final 3 kilometers. There's one last ascent before the Piazza Venezia, and then the finish in front of the Colosseum. So that's all there is to it on the route. Beautiful course, very well designed, very popular, as you can tell from 22,000 entrants this year. And they're all gathered in. One or two of them will be enjoying the sights and the scenery more than most. Our emphasis will be on the elite field, predominantly Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda and Eritrea. The inaugural course records that were set last year were Emmanuel Wefula of Kenya, just ducked under the hour, 59.58, the official course record. And in the women's, Nancy Sang of Kenya was the inaugural women's winner in 60 size, 66.52. Both of that will be and help chip away. And that means that notwithstanding that climb in the 1/3 point in the race, it is a quick course for runners of all standards, and that's what's drawn you here. The gender split is 56% male, 44% female. That's changed a lot over the years, but is standard around the world, 50-50 more or less split between male and female runners. But it's the age demographic of this race that is showing how road running is changing. There was a time when the average age of male and female runners in all road races was just either side of 40 years old, and now half the field is under 34. Good news for race organisers. They'll be crossing through that start gantry for up to 20 minutes to clear the whole field of 22,000, going in waves. The elites will be gathered behind those red lines that you can see. They're actually chip timing mats that will activate the sensor tags on the runners' bibs, giving them a net time from when they cross the start line and all of the intermediate splits. This is the front row of the grid. Italian interests really with Sofia Yeremchuk in the women's event, a former Ukrainian, relatively late entrant to this field. She's the national record holder, or the equal national record holder, for the half marathon for Italy at 68.27. See the second wave of runners just being held back. They'll be walked forward. There will be interludes between those waves. That's the leading seeds. A lot of hopes here being pinned on Biliy, the #1 seed, even though it's his debut at the distance. So he's an outstanding track runner. He's run a couple of Diamond Leagues on the track. He's run 12:42 for 5,000 metres. He's also won in Italy this year in the famous Campaccio cross country. You go down the field, you get a sense of the international flavour. The flags there of Eritrea, France, Spain, Germany, Poland, Australia. And if you're tuning in to see athletes further down the field, I hope you get a look at them at some point during the race as we're into final briefing. So our coverage will concentrate on the sharp end of the field. You see on the overhead gantry there's a 5-minute warning. Our visually impaired runner with his guide just getting a head start to keep things safe for him. And that's the elite women's field. Gladys Cherop, winner of the Maranello half marathon in Italy in 68 minutes. She will be one of those hoping to go close to or under the course record of 66.52. Yeremchuk, I think she was only added to the field in the last fortnight. People can take on a half marathon at shorter notice than the full marathon distance. And those balloons that you can see a little bit further back will be the various pacing groups for the mass runners. So those aiming to go under 70, under 80 and under 90, one of the big barriers for regular runners to try and break, en route to trying to run a sub 3-hour marathon. So there in the centre we'll have one or two men helping out the women's field as well. Forecast is very nice conditions. You can see that just looking at it. The sun already up. It's 8:30 local time. Not forecast to go much above 12 degrees Celsius, so that's pleasant conditions. There's Yeremchuk, pretty relaxed. She's 2:23 marathon runner as well, so we've seen her in action in various road races in Italy. Run Ostia, I remember seeing her run that half marathon. One or two training partners within the Kenyan and Ethiopia contingent. All very serious there though, isn't it? No larking around on the front row. Joan Chepleting was 7th in the Dam to Dam road race earlier this year in Netherlands, winner of the Hamburg half marathon. So we're into the final countdown. Good morning to you from Rome if you're just joining us for this second edition of the Wizz Air Rome half marathon. 22,000 runners. This man almost destined to be an elite athlete. He bears the names of two of the greats of Ethiopia, Haile Talahun Bekele, but it's his debut. Very lightly raced on the roads, more of a track pedigree in his background. He has run 27:13 on the roads for 10k. That was in Valencia. Beautiful shots from the drone. Just above the start area, you can see it starts at Circus Maximus. It finishes in the Colosseum, just relatively adjacent. We can call it an out and back loop course. And just that one ascent that faces them between 7 and 8 kilometers. a little bit of a hill spike maybe in the with 800 metres to go on the final run-in, but that's much shorter. So they've been waiting patiently on the start line. Race organisers will be just getting clearance all around the course that every sector is ready to go. There's confirmation of the current weather conditions. The only sort of adverse reading there, maybe 85% humidity. For those out there for 2-3 hours, that will be sticky, sweaty. You'll need to hydrate along the way, but for those taking just about an hour to do it, very perfect conditions. And even though there's a timing truck ahead of these elites, you'll see all of them starting their own watches, so we can get the intermediate splits along the way and get an idea of the schedule. Men's target time is 28 minutes through 10k, so we're away. We're off and running in the 2025 Wizz Air Rome Half Marathon. That's a nice broad start there. You can see all of the runners getting away quickly across the start line. There's no congestion directly behind it, a bit of flutter-fetti to set the atmosphere. A lot of excitement as well from these runners. The inevitable football shirts a bit further back down the field. It will take a little while to settle. It's actually a downhill first 300 metres. That's a nice sweep to get them underway. You can see one or two of the athletes wearing those commemorative t-shirts in the pink, the official race t-shirt given out these days before the start rather than at the finish, just to save logistical space at the finish line. And the finish line of this race is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Colosseum. So 1 minute in and we've got our first couple of thousand runners across the start line. 22,000 entrants. One of those bucket list destinations where you can come and run a quick half marathon, bring family and friends, make a trip of it, enjoy the autumn conditions, which are usually very favourable for the road running series. But this has done incredibly well, this event, in year 2, to have 22,000 runners, and here we are riding with the leaders. There's an interesting idea in this leading group, in that Telehan Haile Bekele, the debutant, is going to be pace-made, but one of the athletes who will be pacemaking him is also looking to try and win the race, so he's dueling his responsibilities of pacemaker, but also wanting to make it hard and fast and maybe neutralise that finishing speed of Telehan Haile Bekele and win the race. So we've got Simon Maywa in there, Vincent Kiptu in those leading men. Back at the start, you can see the Tiber over on the right hand side. That will be part of the return run, nice flat section along the river in the capital city. Everybody just checks their watch just to make sure. There will be clocks around the course that they'll see. Bekele in second there was actually 4th in the World Championships on the track in 2019 in Doha, over 5,000 metres. You can see perhaps that bouncier stride of the track runner, higher knee lift elevation, punch in the arms a little bit higher than the pacemaker just directly in front of him, much lower slung carriage there for him in the colours of Adidas. They are one of the technical sponsors and partners of the event, so you can see 2 or 3 athletes in those lilac Adidas colours at the head of the field. They'll be looking for under 3 minutes per kilometre, so we're already through the first kilometre, and you can see that group of around about 8 men. Not all of them will go the full distance. A couple of the pacemakers will step out once their pacemaking duties are completed. and it's all very level running at this point. It's flat. The hill, the main hill of the course, is between 7 and 8 kilometre, as we are midway between 1 and 2 kilometres for this elite men's field. At a later stage of the race, this will be effectively a contraflow. There will be runners heading out on this section of the course, but also runners making the return run. It was, I remember it from last year's coverage, it was an outstanding drive for home, a win by almost a minute by Emmanuel Wafula of Kenya, and just going under 60, 59.58, so a great kite mark on the event in year one. This is the elite women's field, a little bit further back down the road. They've got male pacemakers in there helping them. They've also got one or two of the national level men alongside them as well. Gladys Cherop, closest to the camera, the favourite. 5th in Napoli, winner of the Marinello half marathon, so very accustomed to racing in Italy. Only 24 years of age. That's the other slightly unusual feature. How many of these athletes are in their early 20s in the elite field? We're used to seeing athletes in their late 20s. As they pass that visually impaired runner there on the right with his guide, he had a 5-minute head start. They will get the benefit of the male racers around them as well as the male pacers, but you can see at this early stage we're already down to 5 in the women, and gaps just opening up in that elite men's race, approaching the 6-minute point. They would perhaps want to be a little bit more tightly packed than that, so those at the back may be just struggling to stay on terms with this brisk pace out in front. We're in the very peak of the autumn road racing season. Chicago Marathon a couple of weeks ago, it's the Amsterdam Marathon today, the Toronto Marathon. We've also got New York coming up in a while, so half marathons just slot into that schedule. Gets the best of the spring and autumn weather in those peak road racing months. So these 5 just starting to edge away a little bit. And in the women's, it looks like the athlete at the back of that group just struggling to stay on terms. Joan Chepleting is there at the back of the group. Winner of the Hamburg Marathon back in June in 70:12. She's one of the Adidas athletes on the left there in the red. Lenoir in the men's event, favoured to do well, but also helping out with the pacemaking. So it's a style of running for him. He's been asked to help keep the pace earnest for Biliy. He's the number 1 seed. You can't see necessarily the numeral they've been allocated, but these are the top 3, just starting to edge away a little bit. Lonway was the winner of the Madrid half marathon back in April. He's probably one of the older athletes in the elite men's lineup at 30. Very experienced competitor. Also the winner of the Trento half marathon in Italy, so used to winning on the roads in Italy. These 4, can you see that high arm carriage? Characteristic East African running style. They train in squads, they train in groups, they do drills and rhythmical running together, but it does appear to be something that almost gets absorbed. You can see the one that isn't, slightly lower arm carriage for Jalimo on the far side there. That's a runner's eye view as they go through this boulevard of trees, approaching 9 minutes, so into the 4th kilometre of the race. And that's going to be a long way for them to run, 50 minutes in isolation, unless they can get back on terms. The elite field probably 10 men, and we're already down to that leading group up ahead of 6, is it? 5 potentially. There they are, head on. Still look, Calipers a long way. He is going the full distance, just to remind you on that. He's been asked to help out and keep the pace strong as we approach 10 minutes. Simon Maywar, the athlete to the left of him, also appears on some biographies with Maywar. He's a regular racer in Italy as well. He's won the Calgary cross country, and he's also won a gold medal in the team championship for Kenya in the African cross country. He's only 20 years of age, so you've got a 10-year spread between the two athletes that we're looking at, Maywar and Lonwar. One age 20, the other age 30. Lonwar with the necklace on there. And you can see from Tefiso, just 2 or 3 strides further back, Hurkan Agesa Tefiso of Ethiopia, 19 years of age, just struggling to hang with this pace. Beautiful landmarks. The course has been designed with some of these landmarks in mind. I mean, you can't have a better finish than the Basilica, than the Colosseum. We'll see that. This Basilica, one of the early landmarks on the course. You can come back and have a look at that as tourists a little bit later on, but it's all business at the moment for that leading group of men. They can see the timing truck just up ahead. You see the police outriders just ahead of them. It's a nice course in terms of not having to run in long straight lines where you can see your next 5 or 10 minutes of running. There's confirmation of the split of that leading group, 3 for Kenya, 2 for Ethiopia. So there are turns on the course, but it's not twisty. It's been very well designed. This is the flat part that they'll enjoy on the return run as well, as they come out of the trees into the sunshine momentarily. But Keeley does look very relaxed there, doesn't he? He should do at this point. Only 12 minutes into a race. 5 kilometres is his normal racing tipple, so he should be very comfortable. He has a famous victory celebration, the T celebration, where he has his arms out to the side. I wonder if we'll be seeing that in the next 45 minutes or so. He has run a 13:03 road 5k as well. He was part of Michael Johnson's Grand Slam track series earlier in the year, so he's had a busy summer. That was track racing in Jamaica in the early weeks of April, so he's a man for all surfaces. I don't think the elites will take on board any refreshments when they're running for only 59, 60 minutes or so, so you can see those drink stations will be far more useful to the mass runners coming along behind who'll be out there for 2, maybe 3 hours. Hydration is going to be important on a day when it's 85 degrees humidity, 85%. Four in that elite women's group. Just looking at the back there, Jet Lateng just struggling a little bit. You can see eyes looking down at the ground, but she would want to be almost within touching distance of the 2 up ahead, if she could. Those low digit bibs on the men alongside indicating they're very decent runners. I mean, this will be on schedule for somewhere around 66, 67 minutes, so they're very decent male runners. Benedek Kaposi of Hungary, the athlete in the green, he's the one responsible for officially pacemaking the elite women. It's a 2:28 marathon runner, so very experienced. They're not allowed to grab the drinks for the athletes that they're pacing, so just helping themselves to drinks. Sometimes the drink stations can be a point of disruption within a race where a break can happen. But the only break at the moment in this elite women's field is that Jepleteng off the back slightly in 4th place. That's Kenya 1, 2, 3 at the moment in the women. Cherop, the favourite, is the #1 seed in the centre of the shot there. But any one of those 3 could win it. But it does look like at the 15-minute point in the race, we are down to just those 3. Now this is a chaser's eye view of Tefiso. And there's the contraflow with the runners on the outbound journey of this section of the course. That's going to be tough for Tefiso because you can see he's about 80 or 90 metres behind the athletes up ahead. He's in a good position. He's in about 7th or 8th place overall, but he's having to do it all on his own without any company or support or pacemaking help. A little bit of applause from the runners further down the field for the speedy guys going on the other side of the road there. That's the leading men. Good morning to you from Rome if you're just joining us. This is Jeff Whiteman on the commentary for the 2nd edition of the Wizz Air Rome Half Marathon. Big numbers from around the world, 3/4 of the field from outside Italy. And just keeping an eye on that women's race. They look to have settled into a rhythm. And at the back of the shot there, you can just see Joan Jepleteng just struggling to stay on terms, now about 6, 7, 8 seconds behind this leading group. Very, very hard to come back from a position like that, but you never know. The climb is still to come. That can be a real disruptor in rhythm and upset the pace which they've established thanks to the pacemaking work of Benedek Kaposi of Hungary, the pacer on the right hand side of the shot. '23 there is also part of the official pacemaking group. Jesus Angel Rodriguez Sanchez. So we've lost one of the Ethiopians. You can see Biliy, the favourite, in the yellow singlet in the centre there, still going well, but we're now down to 3 Kenyans alongside him. Maywar, the athlete with #3 on the back, just slightly to the right hand side there. He's run some very rapid below half marathon road times. 13:37 for 5,000 metres on the road, 28:14 for 10 kilometres on the road. And he has run 60:26 this year in finishing runner-up in the Napoli half marathon. So he's having a good year. Certainly it would be one of the biggest wins of his career. Maywar, #3, if he could pull off this victory. As they veer away from the pyramid, coming up in the next kilometre or so is the main climb of the race. Nice crowds out to support early on a Sunday morning. So there are 2 male pacemakers. It looks as though, well, that's other athlete alongside him. We'll give him a name check. #26 is Sanchez Mosquera. I think he is just hitching a ride. He doesn't have his name on the front of his bib, so he's just running for himself. and realising that the pace that's being set for these elite women is ideal for him as well. It will be somewhere around 66.5 minutes as a target time, and you can just sense the gradient beginning to rise a little bit, leaning into it ever so slightly. And having said that they probably won't take on board drinks, you can see that two of them are clutching their own personal drink bottles on the right hand side that have grabbed from one of the tables a little bit further back. Just sipping from that. There'll be a concentrate of electrolytes and carbohydrates in there just to help keep the energy levels high on what is a humid day, but otherwise really nice conditions for road racing. What's happening here with the pacing in the men's race is that there's no break at the front. They're staying in formation. The breaks are at the back of the group. We're losing an athlete every 1,500 metres or so. You can see we're down to these four. Vincent Kimeo is the athlete just hanging on in there at the back of the group. Ran a personal best in the Breda half marathon of 62:33. He's another youngster, only 21 years of age. In the Xiamen Marathon in China earlier this year. Last year he ran a 27:21 road 10k, so okay at the moment, but you can see the climb that is engaging them at the moment. The lead timing truck just going over the crest of this initial incline. It is a tester. They're making light work of it, but it is quite a long drag alongside the battlements that you can see on the left hand side. And you can also see from the gap that the camera bike has been able to slot into that it is now a significant gap back to 5th place. So these look to be our podium athletes in the elite men. We're still only just over a third of the way through the race. There will be a presentation of awards to conclude the programme. Somebody in that group is not getting a medal, and somebody's going to be the champion. Another drink station. There'll be at least every 5 kilometres, and you can see somebody there grabbing that open top cup. Very difficult to take onboard fluids from a cup. It's a bit of a skill that has to be practiced as they take this downhill left-hander. Often the water in the cups is more useful for draining over the shoulders and the thighs and the key areas to help dissipate heat. One of the big rivalries in sport that we're looking at there, Ethiopia against Kenya. The Kenyans may be having a chat between themselves just about the pace and how things are going. In Swahili, Amharic is the native tongue of the number 1 seed, Bekele. We can just see him on the slight left-hand side at the back of that group. Number 1 on his back, Bekele on the front. The names that are designated for East African runners are usually 3, but they're not as neatly first name, middle name, surname in the way that we would regard them in Europe. They're used a little bit more interchangeably. So I mentioned earlier that Telahun Haile Bekele may have had a choice of some of those names as well in the anglicised form of his name, but 2 famous Ethiopian athletes' name within one outstanding track runner, Haile Gebrselassie, Kenenisa Bekele, 2 legends of men's Ethiopian distance running. Here he is in the centre of the shot. Only 26, so it's about the right age to be testing the waters at half marathon for the first time, but he does have his hands full here. The favourite for the race, but he's having to just adjust to the distance. He's now into not new territory yet. He has raced 10k on the roads, but once we go beyond the half-hour point, it will be new ground for Bekele, the number 1 seed. And that is the Slightly desperate view now for the athlete in 5th. He's got to try and close that on these undulating sections in the mid part of the race to get back on terms, but it's a gap of more than 10 seconds back to 5th place. There he is. Feb Chilogo, 20 years old. He's from Uganda, and this is his debut as well. He's the Ugandan national 5,000 metre track champion, but he's finding this hard going. He's just got to concentrate, stick at it, run his own race, stay in his own lane, keep to his own rhythm, and hope that this pack breaks up. But they're looking strong at the moment. 4 square. Mentioned before that Longway has been asked to pace, but he is somebody that could very easily win this race. He won't be stepping off, so dual responsibilities for him to try and win it, but also to try and help others get to a quick time. Between them, they all want to go under 60, and they don't have to duck very far under 60 minutes for that course record set last year at 59.58 to Wafula of Kenya. 10-kilometre split that they'll be hoping for will be somewhere around 28.10, 28.20. That will keep them on schedule for something around 59.40 or thereabouts as a closing time. So the 10-kilometre split's coming up in the next 2 or 3 minutes. In fact, that may be the 9-kilometre balloon arch or the inflatable arch that they're going through there now. The shade still welcome. Further down the field, the runners will be hugging the right-hand side of this carriageway just to get the cooler part of the course on the right-hand side, rather than where the elites are going in the blazing sunshine. It's not blazing. It's a very nice mid-teens temperature that they're enjoying here. The furthest point of the course is also coming up in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. So everything after that will be the run for home, the return run to the Coliseum. $22,000 runners was, I think, a target number, but I think there's the potential for this race to become massive over the years. Every year you have the potential to just increase it by a couple of thousand just to make sure that all the systems still hold up, the start assembly area, the finish dispersal. Great crowds there. They may have the opportunity to cut across the course and see them on the return run as well. But look at that, a wave of applause right the way down, especially on that left hand side. Spectators in sunglasses, that's a nice feature, isn't it, as we get closer to November. That low morning sun, and what a beautiful sight and sound for these runners. Just vestiges of cobbles beneath the feet there. They've been smoothed out, so nothing too disrupting underfoot, but a more historic surface that they're running through at this point on the race. I think that is the Adidas balloon arch coming up for 10 kilometres. They were hoping for 28.10, and this is a wonderful piece of pacemaking being done here, because they're going to be, well, within 5 or 6 seconds of that schedule. There's the flag on the right hand side indicating 10 kilometres out of 21, and I made that around about 28.16, 17 or thereabouts, so they are bang on schedule for the course record and sub 60 as a finishing time. So a great job being done by Longway. Now this is interesting because Bekele has never raced beyond 10 kilometres. There we are, 28.18 the official split, so projecting to 59.42. But the number one seed is in trouble here. That was a bit of a psychological barrier for him. The furthest he's ever raced is 10k, but it almost seemed like at the 10k point something triggered in him, and he's in a bit of difficulty. We're down to 2 in the women's, Jep2 and Chilimo. So no sign of Gladys Cherop. Regina Cheptu on her debut. We don't really have any credentials for her, certainly on her major race debut. Now this is a serious section of the race now for Biliy. He's clearly hurting. You can see the shoulders are rolling a little bit. How bizarre that that happened at exactly 10 kilometers, that he almost seemed to hit a mental barrier as he goes beyond the furthest that he's ever run in a race before. So this is a shock. The race has been built around this man. You see, yeah, he's working hard, but if he could be on terms with those other 3, he would. This is a tough kilometre for the number 1 seed. And they're going away at the moment, the leading 3, the 3 Kenyans working together. And at the moment they are destroying Biliy on his debut at the half marathon distance. Wow. That happened very suddenly, didn't it? Meiwa, Lomwe and Kimeo, the 3 that are getting away. And that rhythm which they'd established, I don't think there was any surge of pace. It was just almost like a buffer that was hit by Biliy. Both in their late 20s, Chilimo and Cheptu. But one has vastly more experience than the other. Millicent Cheptu, 70.25 at the Istanbul half marathon. 3rd in a half marathon in China in 73.44 last year. So she is on the circuit of road racing, and it is a debut at this level for Regina Jeptu, but going well at the moment. But we are down to these 2, and if you look back, that's them through the 10 kilometre checkpoint for the women, so we'll get the official split on that very shortly. But that is a big gap to 3rd place, head on, struggling to even see the 3rd place woman. So they're on schedule for 66.59. That's at the moment 7 seconds outside the women's course record, but this battle between them could yet take them further clear. Pacemaking support appears to have gone, so they're going to have to work off their own pace, and these are the 3 Kenyans at the top of the men's field. We're now on the return run. Much of it will have the River Tiber on their left hand side. They're not here to sightsee, they're here on business, looking for the win. But at the moment, after that really difficult kilometre for Biliy, this looks like it could be our podium, and it could be a Kenyan sweep. So they've only got around about 26-27 minutes of running to go. That's how you start to think in a race like this. It's not kilometres completed, it's kilometres to go, minutes to go. Up ahead they can see the timing clock ticking down, and the distance to go, the time to go, becomes altogether more bite-sized. 27 minutes of running is less than any individual training run they will ever do, so it's something they know they can handle every day of their lives in training, and they've just got to stitch it on to that opening first half in low 28, which was quick, and it was good pacemaking by Lomwe. Now that is Longway at the back of that group, and I think he's going through a bad patch. You can see him clearing his nose a couple of times, almost like a nervous reaction. He was the pacemaker that did the damage to the #1 seed, Biliy, in the first half of the race, and I wonder if he's paying a little bit of a price for that now, because he's just hanging at the back of that group, maybe just having a breather, having done so much of the work, just tucking in and letting somebody else take a turn at the wheel. There is no notable wind that he can shelter from there. It's only at most 10 kilometres. You can see the leaves on those autumn trees just barely fluttering in the background. These three have got a nice rhythm going. Sadly, it is not a rhythm that Biliy is sharing at the moment. I think when we get a checkpoint, we'll see that he may even be 10 or 20 seconds back down the road. And it looks as though Maywar is choosing to still keep running with that drinks bottle that he took, and that was quite a while ago he had that, so he's had it in his hand for some way. Just maybe looking to get another sip of that in the closing stages. These two, well, they have now got a bit of help, although it's not that helpful from the male runner behind them, because they're having to generate their own pace. That's Jonathan Sanchez Mascara from the Abingdon Athletic Club. Some of the sites that they'll be seeing on the return run: beautiful city, UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the most famous tourist destinations in the world. And what a great way to see Rome, on foot, at speed, and then perhaps more leisurely around some of the favourite sites in the afternoon. They're all within this route, as far as I can see. They take in the Spanish Steps, or very close to, in the last couple of kilometres. If you're just tuning in, this is Jeff Whiteman with the stream of the second edition of the Wizz Air Rome Half Marathon. We're along the banks of the Tiber on the return run for the elite men. It's three Kenyans together. Maywar and Longway are the two at the head of that group. That's the first look we've had at the #1 seed, Telhun Haile Bekele of Ethiopia. It is his debut, it's his first half marathon, and he's struggling. Still going to run a quick time, still in fourth place, still a chance that he might be able to get back on terms, but the bounce has gone a little bit, and it's these three up ahead, the three Kenyans who've right at 10 kilometres. Oh, they were about to turn down there. There's a barrier. Yeah. So they're crossing over the Tiber at this point. Onto the northern banks, I think that is, of Rome's capital city river. And the fact that the motorbike is able to ride within this gap confirms to you that it is a long way back to Bekele now. He may struggle to hang on to fourth place with the calibre of athletes that are behind him. We shall see. Kimeo is the athlete that's just drifting at the back of that group. 21 years old. He's had a very full racing program and very consistent. He's a 27-21 10k runner, the athlete at the back of that group. I just wonder if the halfway split was just the wrong side of uncomfortable for him, because you see it's almost gone to single file there with Maywar leading. And then Calipus Longway in second. There is no pacemaking responsibility. Now we're beyond the halfway point. This is every man for himself as they go across those slightly cobbled flagstones, following the lead car around this little chicane. See the palm trees on the gardens on the left, beautiful conditions. And it feels like this is a run for home from Maywar. It feels like he has put the hammer down ever so slightly at this point in the race. Only 20 years of age, so and you can see he has been caught for fourth, but Biliy has been reeled in. He is really struggling now, just trying to hang on to the rest of the athletes just coming through behind him. It is it's a big jump from 10k to more than double that at the half marathon distance, especially bearing the responsibility of attacking the course record. So this will be a tough final few kilometres for Biliy, but out in front, Maywar with that extra I. He appears under both spellings of the name in biographies and websites. And he is going for this. He still hasn't discarded that small drinks bottle in his right fist. Obviously has a plan. I'm just looking, is it a drinks bottle or is it a piece of paper? Has it got split times on it or something? Or is it a gel sachet? Just trying to see, it's very unusual to see a runner carry anything at all. There's something in his right hand, and it's not a drinks bottle. He's the youngest of those three in that leading group. You can see sweating profusely now. Not got too far to go. 41 minutes in, so there's just over a quarter of an hour's running left. And it looks as though Longway may be the athlete just having a little bad patch at the back of that group. He's got something in his hand as well, in his right hand. Interesting. Just switching it to his other hand there, Maywar. Now these are the chasers. Has it revived Biliy to have somebody alongside him to help try and close that gap? Feb Chilogoy is the athlete that has come through from 5th to take 4th. I think these three are too far away and clear in front, but you never know. Twisty section of the course there. They're still on schedule for the course record of 59.58. They can see the clock, the lead timing clock on the lead vehicle there, just ticking away. None of them were here last year. They're all first time on this course. It was a great moment actually, and it is a great sight. It's coming up, that run in right in front of the Coliseum. Fantastic, epic, literally epic finish. But they will be concerned not to see it click over to 1 hour. There'll be maybe a little award bonus, another check to be earned if they can break the course record of 59.58. And it's good news that the three of them are running together, because that competitive element will drag them clear. You can see it's tight. We've got 6 kilometres to run, and they've only got 8 seconds in hand, 7 seconds in hand over the course record. So they just need to keep things bubbling along here in their mutual interest, even though one of them is going to be the winner. That looks like it's going to be our men's podium. Kenya has, I think, a couple of thousand athletes that make a living from road running around the world. There are camps at Kaptagat and Eldoret. Some of these athletes will have trained together. They may have travelled to races together. You can see there are the two Adidas athletes together in those lilac coloured racing strips as they make their way down the historic Via del Corso, big shopping area, and the early morning crowds out saluting them, supporting them into these closing stages as we approach 44 minutes. E10 in Kenya regards itself as the capital of world running. Number of training camps there now. Well, if we're comparing like for like with shots here, it's Chelagai and Biliy probably around about 30, maybe 40 seconds behind. Can they see the lead truck up ahead? Not sure. That's psychologically very difficult. They're not going to close that gap completely. They may be able to chip away at a few seconds, but the race is on between these three. Maybe just took a drink there just to pour over his head and try and dissipate a bit of heat as we go through the Piazza del Popolo. Not many landmarks left on the course for these three. They're running around the piazza there, you can see. This may give them a glimpse back as they exit the square. If they look over to their right, they may just get a glimpse of Biliy and Feb Chilogoi coming into the square, but they'll know they're under no threat from them. Just got to concentrate on each other. We've had a few little testing surges being made, but nothing decisive so far. So you could almost throw a blanket over these three as we go beyond the 45-minute point in a race that is going to take, hopefully, just under 60 minutes down the Via del Babuino. There is one last little ascent that they've got coming up. It's nothing too severe, and if they're all still together they may not even notice it, but it's inside the last kilometre of the race. They've moved away from the River Tiber, so we're into the more central areas of Rome. You can see shops on either side here that will be rammed with spectators, but we're still only early morning. It's just after 9:15 on a Sunday morning in Rome, so just coming alive. There are 22,000 runners coming behind them. There will be finishers right the way through to midday for some of the final finishers. That's when that humidity may start to be a factor for those finding it a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit humid and sweaty in the closing stages. It's 85% humidity as they re-emerge into the sunshine of this square, the Piazza di Spagna. Not too far away from the Spanish Steps, which is one of the busiest of the tourist attractions in central Rome. Wonderful architecture. They don't have eyes on this at the moment. They have got eyes on the prize as we approach 48 minutes. Nearly caught that refuse bin there, taking that turn sharply. It's a long way at the back of that group. He has re-engaged. Did go through a little bit of a lull where he was drifting back and it looked like he might be about to lose touch, but he stuck at it. You can be sure there will be no tie here. They will not run in together. There is a differential in prize money. We go back to the women's race and the Regina Jeptu, number 13, and Millicent Gilimo in the red and the arm warmers on a warm day. Much more experienced athlete on the right. So I think the women's course record is going to be safe. You can see there that through 15 kilometres they're projecting for 68.02, so they're over a minute outside course record schedule. Last year it was big gaps in the women's race. It was Nancy Sang who won by 38 seconds from Worku of Ethiopia to set that inaugural course record. But we have a race on our hands, both for the men and the women, and it is all Kenya at the moment. There's the leading three men, Longway on the right, Maywa in the centre. And they only have barely 10 minutes to run. Somebody may fancy their chances here of just putting in a bit of a surge, seeing if they can drop at least one of the other athletes in that leading group. They've been together throughout the whole race. Longway was asked to help with pacemaking responsibilities, but he was known to be a legitimate contender, and he could still be the champion here in Rome in year 2. Vincent Cameo, the athlete, just trying to tuck in there. They know at this point, if a gap opens up that's more than 2 seconds, that could be the end of things. So it looks as though on these pictures that Telehun Bekele has drifted away and is struggling now to hang on to Chelagoy, who's now in 4th place. He may actually be closing in on the leading 3 men. These 2 women look relatively unflustered. Doesn't look like anybody's trying to do anything decisive at this point. The women around about 18 minutes away from their finish. It's a big gap, we think, back to the 3rd place woman. Maybe one of those scenarios where they're not even sure if they are 3rd, because it could be somebody coming through from further back in the group, supported by men. This is that piazza where they run 3 sides of it. We saw the men come through just about 7 minutes ago. Now, we've got a break on. It looks as though they've suddenly gone to single file at the head of the field. At the back there is Longway. This is as low as he's been in the race. And it's Maywa doing the damage out front. This is the run for home from Simon Maywa. I'm just wondering if that's a white flag being raised by Longway. This is all very urgent. You can see perspiration over his shoulders, his neck, his face, that necklace glinting in the sunlight as they come into the light in between. But that gap is opening up. I said 2 seconds could be curtains. He really needs a bit of luck now, because he's going to have to accelerate to close that. They're not coming back. Nobody's taking a drinks bottle at this point. It's too late to have any impact, and it's too serious a racing scenario now. We have a Kenyan 1, 2, 3, but now these 2. And look at the pace being piled on now by Simon Maywa. They have suddenly opened up 3 or 4 seconds over the long delay. And we are into the or so minutes of the race. And this duel is taking them quicker and quicker. You can see Maywa is being spelt without the I. So it's M-A-I-Y-W-A on some of his biogs as well. That, as I understand it, is the definitive spelling of his name. Is he going to be our champion? Well, and I may have been speaking too soon about the demise of Longway, because he is hanging tough. As he closed, as he got it back on terms, so that gap of it opened up to about 3 seconds, but he's used the twists and turns to get back on terms. He's still not comfortable as we go through the Piazza Nirvana. Navona. The women 6 minutes back down the road, less intense at the moment, neither of them putting in a burst. They're in a bit of a gap in the race. It's just that one male athlete from, well, it's Abingdon on the start list as they go through the Piazza di Spagna. The Spanish Steps mark more or less 17 kilometres, so they're 4 kilometres from home. Well, he tried to get back on terms. It hasn't worked this time. I do feel like the twists and turns are helping Longway a little bit because they have to decelerate very slightly into the turns. And that deceleration is allowing him just to close a stride or two. But he's clearly struggling. He's on the podium, whatever happens, because in the next 5 minutes he's not going to lose 45 seconds to those chasing. But now it's another surge, and this time, is it having the effect of dropping Meiwa? Kimayo, that's really the most decisive influence we've seen from him in the race. It hasn't yet succeeded, but they now have barely 1,500 metres to go. Look at the speed. I mean, if you didn't know this was a half marathon and you were looking at that turnover, you would think it was a 1,500 metre track race. Absolutely piling it on now in the closing stages. I think for both of these athletes, the win would be the biggest win of their lives, biggest win of their careers. Meiwa just comes alongside just to say, oh, little chat going on. Surprised they've got the breath for that. Just to say, well, what was he saying? He's still got something in his right hand there. I really, I've not seen that before. It could be the split times or something like that. It could be a gel sachet. Either way, he's hung on to it. He's not looked at it. He's changed hands with it a couple of times. I may be missing something here, but he definitely has something in his right fist. Left fist. So 56 minutes down. Final kilometre, it's 21.1 kilometres, the official half marathon distance. And it is the most epic finish line scenario you could ever envisage. It will come into view relatively late, but these two are putting on quite the show here. Meiwa against Kimayo. Vittoriani signals that we are inside the last kilometres. I think, looking at that, I've written him off once already, but I think that is third place that is going to go to Longway. He may yet have a final surge that he can put in, but we are now just 2.5 minutes, maybe less, from the finish line, and these two are piling it on. Vincent Kimayo versus Simon Meiwa. The women's race, every time we've gone to it, it's been far more steady and relaxed. There are no surges coming in there. That may still mean fireworks in the closing stages. The women's course record is safe, the men's is not. They have got 2 minutes from here to break the course record, but right now they'll be thinking about, how am I going to win this? There were words exchanged about something to do with the direction there. You can see the edge of the Colosseum. So it's Simon Meiwa on the right in the lilac coloured top, and it is Vincent Kimayo in the multicoloured top on the left as they take one of the final turns of the race. Look at the shoulders rocking for Meiwa. He's absolutely got his foot right down on the pedal. There's the gap back to Longway. The camera foreshortened slightly. I think that's 7 or 8 seconds. He's not going to feature for the win. The one we've seen least of at the front is Kumail. He's always been there or thereabouts. He hasn't done much leading. Look at this, shoulder to shoulder as we go to 59 minutes. There is less than 60 seconds of this Wizz Air Rome half marathon left as they go through 21 kilometres and they make the final turn towards the Colosseum. Look at this, there's the finish line. It is down to the sprint. We are going to get a course record. Wow, what an incredible finish. And there is maybe one final twist in the tail here. Otherwise, it is going to be Maiwa that takes it. It's a slight uphill finish, as you can see. You can see the sash, the arm looking over his shoulder, desperately trying to hang on. What a race this has been. It is a course record and the win to Simon Maiwa of Kenya, but only just. Well, Kimeo celebrates in second. It felt like at different points that he could have taken that. And to complete the Kenyan sweep, it is Calipus, Lomwe, and all three of them are inside the former course record of 59.58. They've given everything there. Oh, incredible race. Last year it was won by almost a minute, and this year it was almost like a 400-metre race. Fourth place, off the podium, Feb Chelogoi of Kenya, so it's a Kenya 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking back to see if Telahun Haile Bakili has managed to hang on to fourth place, because he's been in difficulty throughout the second half of the race. There's the leading three, getting their breath back. There's their teammate, Kenyan 1, 2, 3, 4. And there is a slightly weary Telahun Haile Bakili making the final turn to see the Colosseum and the Finnish gantry. He was the favourite, the race was built around him, but he's learned a lot today. 10 kilometres is the furthest he'd previously raced on the road. He'd run 27.13. Still a good run in fifth place. But that has been very, very tough, and it happened at almost exactly the 10 kilometre point that he lost touch in spectacular fashion. So the first non-Kenyan in fifth is Bakili of Ethiopia. There's this tea celebration. We thought we might see that as a victory celebration, but instead it's for fifth place. I think it's relief more than joy for him. We will see all three of them for the podium presentation at the conclusion of the programme. But we also have a women's race that is still to be decided. We watched the replay, incredibly close margin. The biggest win, I think, of Simon Maiwa's racing career. Kimeo, well, all smiles, he's happy with second. It did look as though it was possible for him. And these two suddenly not joined at the shoulder. We rejoin the women's race. With Regina Jeptu and Millicent Chilimo. It's going to be another Kenyan 1-2. Third place in the women's race is a long, long way back down the road. Trying to think of the last time that we saw third place woman, and it's probably in the first half of the race. So these two have been away and well clear for a long time. The way they run, almost step for step, you can see they're absolutely synchronized, each foot going down, each arm coming up in stride. They've used that to help each other, but surely the spurt, the surge is coming. The winner's course record is safe. Nancy Sang's inaugural winning time of 66.52 will survive into year 3, but one of these two is also going to have potentially the biggest win of their career back at the finish line. Simon Maiwa, the champion. He looks pretty fatigued there, doesn't he? Not a lot of smiling, posing for the pictures. He had something in his hand. This is, I think we're on to the 6th place male finisher. This is Alamayu Tashanga of Ethiopia. And we're on 64 minutes. You can see from the clock in the right-hand side as he makes his final turn. Slightly weary. That will have been a very lonely run for him. There's some big gaps in front and behind him. Still inside the top 10 finishers in a race of 22,000. Look at that beautiful backdrop of the Colosseum. Fantastic sight just to lift the spirits. That will be enjoyed by runners for the next 3 hours or so. Tashanga listed as 18 years of age, so his debut at the half marathon. Going to be right on 65 minutes as he goes across the line. (23) making his final turn. Jesus Angel Rodriguez Sanchez. That's an Italian club vest that he's wearing. So the first of the non-elite finishers. Looks like he's going to be under 66 minutes, so he's happy enough, enjoying the closing stages. Giving a warm round of applause for those on the rail as he comes down one side of the finish. And I make him right on 66. He may get a second or two quicker on his chip time. Now we've got a break in the women's race as they enter the closing stages. Well, that's the biggest gap we have seen. Between these two women, so this is a full committed run here from Jet 2. The newcomer, the athlete in second. Looks like a piece of elastic has just been snipped there, doesn't it? They were stride for stride inside the last kilometre. So it looks like Jalimo has settled for second place. She looks pretty comfortable there. So Regina Jeptu, 26 years of age, from Kenya. Has put in a really decisive surge when it mattered most. Millicent Jalimo looks as though she has settled for second place. The strides has gone a little bit. The far more experienced competitor as she comes into the turn. So this is going to be one of the big moments of her life for Regina Jeptu. She is going to take the Wizz Air Rome half marathon, and she did all of the damage inside the last kilometre. The course record is going to survive. She's going to be around about 68, 22, 23 as the Wizz Air sash comes out to greet her. She is our women's champion. Regina Jeptu of Kenya is elated and on very wobbly legs. Millicent Jalimo, a slightly leg-weary second place, but happy enough with that. A Kenyan 1-2, and I think a big gap back to the third place woman. There's the winner, and she absolutely drained the tank there. Gladys Cherop, the pre-race favourite, winner of the Maranello half marathon, is going to take third place. So it is a Kenyan sweep in the women's, and we've had all three under 70 minutes. So we will have a podium presentation for the top three in both races. Rensi Kogo of Kenya, runner-up in the Hamburg half marathon. She's going to be close to her lifetime best, I think. No, she's run 69.04, so she's missed the best that she set in Mainz earlier this year, but a good run for her in 5th place. .33 in the men's. Finishing there is Marianne Zimmerman from Slovakia. And that, I think, is Yeremchuk, the leading Italian, the former Ukrainian athlete, inside top 10, maybe 8th or 9th place overall in the women. She is the co-record holder of the Italian national record at 68.27. She's going to be outside that today. Joan Chepleting finishing just ahead of her. That's an Italian club colourway that she's wearing. They were big gaps that opened up relatively early on in the women's race. They've had one or two of these national standard men to accompany them around the course, but Yeremchuk, first Italian home, just outside 71 minutes. She seems pleased enough with that. First time we've seen her at the Wizz Air Rome Half Marathon. These athletes now being prepared for the podium presentation that is coming up, and we will have finishers. As I mentioned, 22,000 runners out there. We've only had the first few dozen so far. So athletes will be finishing right the way through to midday local time, 3-4 hours. I think she's exhausted. She absolutely applied the pressure just when she needed to, but Regina Cheptu, relatively unheralded, one of her first races outside Kenya. You can see she is grimacing still. That was hard work. She'll enjoy it as the day goes on, hopefully be fully recovered in time for the presentation. But the biggest win of her life, and it has been a day for Kenya, all the podium places occupied by the Kenyans in both the men's and the women's race. This is Massimiliano Rossellino of Italy crossing the line now in the men's, just outside 72 minutes. And behind him for Italy, Simone Prietti in the blue with the cap. Generally speaking, the lower the digit, the quicker the expected finish time. So with that 3-digit numeral, that is a good run for him. Probably a personal best. You could perhaps detect that from the smile as he crossed the finish line there. .60 in the women's, Tracy Barlow of Great Britain in the red and black. We're moving up to a finisher now every 4 or 5 seconds. When we get to the peak of the race, around about the 2-hour point from the start, it will be potentially 5 finishers every second. So it will get busy in front of the Coliseum as Tracy Barlow makes that final right-hand turn. And what a sight, the Coliseum and the last 100-metre run into the finish. Generally speaking, if you have quick times among the elites, it does transpose right the way down the field. If the conditions are good for those going around at course record speed, there'll generally be personal best conditions for those that follow. And we have had the first three inside the inaugural course record set last year by Emmanuel Wafula for Kenya. So we already know it's a good day for racing. You can see, not exactly punching the air, the runners as they go across the line, but a few smiles. Hopefully everybody got what they came for. Fantastic course, great conditions, good support, and quick times. You can see just looking back now that it is building up. There's the shot from the drone. World Heritage Site, the Colosseum. Probably one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Certainly number one in Rome. And what a unique experience for the athletes to finish right in front of it. Chance to savour it, perhaps spend a bit of time, reunite with family, come back this afternoon. The largest Roman amphitheatre in the world. 50,000 to 87,000 spectators, so it was way ahead of its time because we're not building stadia much bigger than that anywhere in the world these days, and that goes back to a couple of thousand years. These are still very decent runners. These are runners that will train every day, running around 75-80 minutes, those finishers that we're seeing now. So a lot of club vests. We won't have the charity fundraisers or the tourists or the debutant runners just yet. They will be further back down the course. That's got to be one of the great sights, hasn't it? That final right-hand turn, if you're feeling a little bit weary, up ahead, not just the Colosseum, but the finish line. It's almost done. I don't know if we've got a bit of YouTubing going on here, but see if I've got a number for 202. That is Martin Munch filming his colleague there, and you can see on the left-hand side it's 76.5 minutes on the gun time. The chip time, the time it took them to cross the actual start line, may give them a few seconds more, a few seconds less on the official results. There is confirmation. You can see almost a 10-minute spread between first and 10th in the men's race, but it was a 1 second margin and a course record for Simon Miiwa of Kenya. And I was saying Chelogoi in fourth was Kenyan. He in fact is Ugandan. So it was a Kenyan sweep, and then we had Uganda followed by Ethiopia for the other positions. These runners coming into view now, some of them have got 4-digit numerals on, so these are the start of the masses. Hopefully a lot of personal bests for them. She's punching the air already as she rounds the turn. Having a great day, one of our Italian national runners. Guy on the right limping, you can see, look, on the man with the bib number on his shorts. '91 just going through there is Adam Belkacem. And I think the woman that's still punching the air is probably celebrating the fact that this is a personal best. She may never have broken 80 minutes, and she's very close to breaking 78. May even do so with the benefit of chip timing, giving her those extra few seconds. Temperature may be just rising now to 13, 14 degrees as we look back at the Fora Imperiale. The course has taken in so many of the classic sites on the way out and on the way back. Many of you watching who are thinking about your racing plans, if you're runners or if you're thinking about becoming a runner, this is a pretty accessible and nice half marathon option to choose. It's only year 2. It will get oversubscribed. The Wizz Air Rome half marathon year 3. Look at that, a Kenyan clean sweep until Sophia Yerenchuk came in. Margin of victory in the end was 11 seconds, so Jalimo, once the break came in from Chep2 in that final kilometre, just really settled for second place. We'll see all 3 of the top men and women, and here we go with the presentation of awards. So they've just made their way around the other side of the Colosseum. I think one of the prizes is Wizz Air flight vouchers. So I'm certainly a regular traveller with Wizz Air. Rome is just one of many destinations they serve as primarily a short-haul budget carrier within Europe. But they put their name on this event, and the response in year 2, 22,000 runners, has been absolutely fantastic. So Longway in third, seems pleased enough with that. He certainly set the race up for everybody else with that first half pacemaking. He really got them into a quick groove. In the end, it wasn't enough to take him to victory, but he gave it everything he had.
Traguardo del secondo classificato.
And it was only by 1 second that Kimeo, also, you could see from the way he was lying on the floor at the end that he'd given it everything, gave it 100%. He's happy enough with that, proving his credentials as a road racer over a variety of distances. So there you are, that's the flight voucher for €300 worth of flights with Wizz Air. So our winner completing our clean sweep, Simon Maiwa of Kenya, course record, probably the biggest win of his life, so he'll enjoy this. He was a little bit serious looking as he was recovering in the finish area, but hopefully when he makes that big step up to the top of the podium, he will be all smiles, because this was a great day for him. Only 20 years of age. Yeah, he's fully restored and enjoying the moment. Now Wizz Air Rome half marathon champion for 2025, Simon Maiwa of Kenya. I think he gets a slightly bigger check for flights with Wizz Air. We will see him back in Europe, no doubt. So that's our men's podium. Great day for Kenya. Biliy, who in the end finished in 5th place, the #1 seed for Ethiopia. Doesn't appear on the graphic. A 1 second margin. I thought, with 200 metres to go, I thought Kimeo was going to take it, but Maiwa judged his race to perfection. We salute Jesus Angel Rodriguez Sanchez, the first European finisher in 7th place, ahead of Kaposi of Hungary and Nugier of Germany to round out the top 10. So we move to our women's podium in reverse order. in a way, this was a close race, but everything that happened between first and second was in the very last, not even kilometre, it may have even been with 600 metres to go. The decisive break came in, and Regina Cheptu did just enough to take the victory. In the end, the margin was 7 or 8 seconds, but there was nothing between them going through 41 and 42 kilometers, 20 and 21 kilometres. Bright sunshine now as we approach mid-morning, and here's a lady who's just had the race of her life. In fact, both of the top two, outstanding performances from the pair of them. I think they worked off each other. They were literally in sync for the whole race until at a certain point it was right, I'm going for the top place. And Cheptu did just enough to make a name for herself on her first major race in Europe, and she will be a name to remember for the future, no doubt. "26 years of age, so she's been running for a number of years, but just not at this level. She was tired as well, but let's see if she's recovered and bounced back in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Here she is. Yep, she's in good spirits as well. Women's champion Regina Cheptu of Kenya. Once again, a Kenyan sweep of the podium in row. That was our top three. There will be finishers, all 22,000 of them, right the way through into the middle part of the day. Kenya provided the top three men and women, notwithstanding that the pre-race favourite was an Ethiopian man, but there's confirmation. It's an 11-second gap, and yet it was nothing at all with 500 metres to go. And there's the top 10. You can see European interest coming in between 6th and 10th. Italy, Great Britain, France, Belgium, and Mexico in 10th place with Sitlechi. So that concludes our coverage of the 2025 Wizz Air Rome Half Marathon. Thank you very much for joining us, and from me, Jeff Whiteman, it's goodbye.